Medtronic is a company that uses technology, biomedical engineering, and innovation to make an impact in outcomes in healthcare. Now, that actually is a strategy. That's a strategy that dictates the way in which we conduct our business, what we should be in and what we're not in. We are in places where we have a line of sight to changing outcomes. We will not be in healthcare components where that doesn't exist. And believe it or not, many of you know the big acquisition that we did last year with Covidien. That was a big decision. There's a lot of money we had to spend and a lot of complexity we had to wade through. And so we had to kind of think hard about that before we make a call like this. And despite some rumors, the discussion was not all about tax. The discussion, in fact, was first, will the addition of Medtronic and Covidien help us fulfill our mission? And I'm serious. We took several hours as an executive committee to understand in fairly granular terms, how does Covidien really help us fulfill our mission? And in the end of the day, that built the strategy around which we did that acquisition. And that strategy was transparent. Every time I did a town hall, that's what we spoke to. That strategy was what we told the government when they said, you're doing this for all kinds of reasons. I said, no, this is why we're doing it. And I think that's helped us. But I come back to the fact that the mission, which was written 50 years ago, is what drove us to this strategy today. And being true to that is so important for us. And thirdly, as you'll see in a minute, it actually is a set of governance principles as to how you run a company. And that is amazing to me that a mission that was written so long ago, 6 tenets that were written in 1960, cover areas that are relevant today. The first one talks about changing outcomes in biomedical engineering. The second tenet actually says that you've got to be a company with scale to be successful. The third and fourth tenets are particularly interesting, and one that I'll speak to in a minute. The fifth and sixth are tenets that talk to how you grow your own employees. I mean, I often joke about that, or our HR team jokes about that, in the sense that when that whole statement was written, and this is only the first line of it, there's a few sentences after that which says that you have to grow your employees, help them with their careers, and so on. When that was written, Earl probably knew every employee. For me to know 85,000 people is a bit of a challenge. So we have to have a different system through which we can live through that mission. But the words in that mission are completely relevant. And finally, we're a social citizen and we are part of the community. But coming back to the third and fourth tenets. And the reason I want to put these out there is because these are most relevant to our suppliers. I think all of these in its own way are relevant in that you should all know what we do and what we strive for and what our principles are. And I'm serious about that. That really is the sort of guiding principle through which we operate as a company. But these two I want to draw your attention to. First is the focus on reliability and quality and safety of our products. We just cannot make a mistake there. Our mission says alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life. And we do that through the engineering of our products. If there's a problem with those products, it'll have the reverse effect. And that's a responsibility that's on our shoulders that we have to be cognizant of, and we have to treat with the utmost seriousness. And so in all our thinking, in all our designs, in all our activities, the safety of our patients comes above everybody else or anything else, as it would for any one of you who'd be directly impacted in healthcare. And if you just think about it logically, who wants the responsibility of hurting somebody, even if it's unintentional? And so the quality, reliability, and safety come at the very beginning of the way in which we think, the way in which we produce things, the way in which we engineer things, and the way in which we interact with our patients and customers. So this is not only about making sure that we do as good a job as possible. We're realistic enough to recognize that mistakes do happen, sometimes through no fault of our own, but mistakes happen. And when they do happen, then transparency and commitment to safety in front of our patients and responsiveness is absolutely critical for us. And we expect that from our suppliers. So full transparency and full commitment to resolution of issues. especially when there are safety-related issues. So I don't think you can really argue with that. It's pretty much common sense. It's living to that and taking that seriously and remembering that at all times. This tenet also mentions our core values of integrity, honesty, dedication, and service. They seem like easy statements, and they're obvious to follow. I mean, how can you argue with that? But it's something that we truly believe in and something that we do not waver from. There's no second chance for anybody in the company, as there shouldn't be, with respect to integrity and honesty. It's a basic value that we respect, that we remind ourselves of, and we live by. And we expect that with all our partners, no matter where they are in the world, whether we're selling to them or we're buying from them, or doing any other kind of collaboration. So integrity, honesty, dedication, and service is core part of our values. So that's the third tenet. And again, I state that to you because of the importance of quality and reliability and the way in which we work, which really shouldn't be any surprise, but it's something that we have at the highest level of importance in the way we conduct business. Tenet 4 is a very interesting one. It says that we have to make a fair profit. Okay, it does not say that we maximize profit. It says we make a fair profit. Now, what does fair profit mean? Fair profit means that we do business in a way that we get value for what we sell. And we want our customers to appreciate that value. And we're not in the mode of exploiting regulations or some other loophole somewhere and getting more value for something or getting more price for something that we don't need because we don't think those things are sustainable. We don't think, in the end of the day, our customers winning and being successful is our success. And if they're not successful, sooner or later we'll have a problem. And so the words making a fair profit is extremely important. And on the other side of the coin, that goes to you. That we recognize that the way we'll treat you is that we'll allow you to make a fair profit as well. And fair profit means that we'll pay you for the value that you provide. And the value has to be as quantifiable as we can make it. And that sense of fairness is a core piece of the culture of this company and something that we protect quite dearly. And as you can probably tell, I'm quite familiar with this mission. And that's because we talk about it all the time. We have these employee orientations where new employees get a medallion, which talks to one of the tenets of the mission. But more important than getting the medallion is a ceremony where I speak about the history of the company and go through all these tenets of the mission. So it's something that is not there to be put on a wall. In fact, you won't find it in too many walls. It's there because we live by it. I live by it not only because it inspires us, but because it gives us a set of guiding principles through which we run a company. And the people in the company operate by those rules. And like I said before, I'm convinced that the company, having sort of followed this mission for all these years, is one of the fundamental reasons for our success today. We made investments, we've had the courage to make investments in areas that we may or may not have if we didn't have these guiding principles in front of us. And that is as true today as it was when Earl first wrote the mission in 1960. Now, as I mentioned, Medtronic started as a very small company. And back in actually earlier than 1960, the mission was written in 1960, but it was a company which emerged as a partnership between an engineer and a physician inventing a new device called a pacemaker, and through that we created a large market and saved the lives and extended the lives of millions of people around the world. Now, since then, we've done that in many other areas, from different kinds of cardiac devices to spinal implants, to brain modulation, brain devices, to surgical tools, you name it. We have a whole collection of life-saving devices that help people around the world. And these markets have been created, but in the end, the root being the collaboration between an engineer and a physician somewhere. And that sense of entrepreneurship is what I was talking about earlier, is one that we never forget. However, there's more to it than that. healthcare today is a lot different than where it was in the 1950s. It's a lot bigger today. It's more complicated because we do more things today. We approach it, do things that are more sophisticated to extend people's lives longer, and that requires coordination of different types. And as we look at healthcare into the future, there are three key needs that we see are pretty critical, and ones that are universal. In that, what I'm going to talk to you about today is not really Medtronic per se, but it is healthcare. And so no matter who you are in healthcare and where you are in healthcare in the world, these three universal needs are pretty ones that we can all rally around and want to address. The first is a recognition that innovation in healthcare will never go away. Why? Because our quest to improve healthcare, to improve clinical outcomes, is one that humanity isn't ever going to abandon. Our willingness and our desire to live longer, more fulfilled, healthier lives is an innate desire. And that does not stop in 2016 because we don't have money or something like that. It just doesn't stop. No matter where you are in the world, your desire to improve clinical outcomes does not go away. And as long as technology and our own knowledge base, both clinically and technologically, continues to grow, there is no reason why that fundamental connection between a technologist and a clinician together will continue to provide new innovation through which we'll continue to improve clinical outcomes, continue to extend people's lives, to cure them from illnesses much quicker with less pain. And so we can never forget the fact that at the end of the day, which I've repeated now several times, but at the end of the day, this is a company based on innovation to improve people's lives. And that is something that is never, ever going to mature. And so we're never going to be a mature industry. If you think of ourselves as a mature company in a mature industry, we have lost the plot. So we've always got to be thinking of ourselves in a growth framework, sure financially, but not only financially, from an output and value perspective. Equally, the second point here is expand access. And expand access means the people who need the therapies and technologies to improve their lives should get them. And while we have systems in most of the developed world where that is achievable, we have a referral system, we have a hospital systems, we train doctors, we have infrastructure through which these inventions can reach people fairly quickly, although probably longer than many of us would like, but still, in relative terms, quickly. There's a whole sort of collection of countries and a huge population around the world who do not have access to this care. Literally billions of people in the world today do not have access to standards of care that are available in the United States today. The pacemaker, which was invented in 1953 by our founder, which is a standard device that is known to extend people's lives by decades. It's now in the US, I can tell you, no matter what healthcare system you're in, whether you're insured, whether you're not insured, if you have a problem that needs a pacemaker, you're going to get one. There's a method through which people will pay for it and you'll get a pacemaker. It's a clear diagnosis. This is not some kind of gimmick or anything. The diagnosis and the symptoms are very clear. They're non-controversial. They're well understood. The act of implanting a pacemaker is pretty standard, and you'll get it in the U.S. and in most of Western Europe, Japan, Korea. You're going to get the pacemaker. However, in the emerging countries, this device, which was invented in 1950 and has been standard of care in the US for at least 30 or 40 years, is still not available to more than 70 or 80% of the population who can, in fact, afford the device by paying for it out of their own pockets. So it's not a matter of, the underserved where you don't have money and all that stuff. I mean, then the number is even bigger, the people who don't get this device. But something like 75% of the world's population who can afford a device like that by paying out of their own money do not get a device because of a lack of awareness, because of a lack of infrastructure, of training, of education, and a lack of a referral system in all those countries. That's the number of lives of people dying because of one therapy. We've got literally hundreds of therapies, just we as a company. And that's just one therapy. And that's the impact that it has. The reason I tell you this story is not only for, again, inspirational perspective, but the societal and business opportunity that lies ahead of us, and in fact is our responsibility to make sure that standards of care that are available to you and me and everyone who lives here every day is available for other people around the world. When our mission said that we alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life, we didn't say that that was going to be in Minnesota or in the United States. That was going to be for everyone, everywhere in the world. And so expanding access is a big piece of needs for us and for healthcare in general. The third aspect is the cost of healthcare. But note, this just doesn't say cost. It says costs and efficiencies are to be optimized. In other words, healthcare costs money, but it's our belief, and more than belief, I think you can prove this logically to a point through analysis, that the value that healthcare generates, the value of extended life, the value of healthy lives, of people contributing to the economy as a result of that, the value of quicker recovery, of less hospital stay, is actually an economic driver, or should be an economic driver, as opposed to a cost burden which is viewed today. And that's why I don't say reduce healthcare costs, it's optimize healthcare costs. And what that means is that we have to be very cognizant of the true cost of what we do, and also have a way and a line of sight to realizing the value of the innovation that we create. And again, you as suppliers are part of this whole equation. We cannot do this on our own. This is because, we work with others. We work with others who supply us, and we work with others who take what we build. And that's a seamless chain. And I think that the firmer the line of sight that all of you have to what we're trying to do, I think it gives you purpose as well. And it aligns us in our own strategies, in our own thinking. And it gives us a common ground when we negotiate with each other for the right reasons. So I think stating these goals out are pretty clear. In the end, they're not that complicated. They're pretty simple and somewhat obvious. But it's ones that, we should stay, clear about, that this is what we're trying to do in the end. Through all the other work that we do and the invention that we do, and we get stuck in our day-to-day grind, this is what we're trying to do. Everything else will follow. Our work will follow, our revenues and all that stuff, and company valuation, all that stuff will follow if we can do these. And the other point about this chart is how exciting an industry healthcare is, and how almost guaranteed its constant growth is, and the opportunity in front of us to make a difference, always. So it really is an exciting industry, and if any one of you are part of it, I hope you can relate to that. And if you're not directly part of it, remember that indirectly, through companies like us, you are part of it. And so it is something that we collectively can make a big difference and really feel good about. Now, diversity. I talked a lot about globalization of our company, and it's clear that our business is diverse. Our business has to be diverse because we serve the world, and also we're part of this community. We live in the United States. We're based in the United States with large operations in this country. And as a result, we have, we serve a diverse population mix, as is true to this country. Now, we feel determined that the company should reflect, the people of the company should reflect what the company is all about, to what the company serves. And so diversity within our company is very high in our agenda. It's something that I pay personal attention to. Our goals are to have in our company representation from ethnic minorities that are proportional to their representation in the country. Nothing short of that. Not some goal that the government sets. That's great. But our goal is true proportional representation at all levels of management, at all levels. And eventually we want to make that global. Certainly for gender diversity, it is global right now. So women, for example, 50% is the goal, not the best thing that we can do, because it's 50%, and at all levels of management. So diversity is very important to us. Now, why is it important? Sure, it's because we want to be part of the society, and we want to look like the society that we're in. But we have a firm belief that diversity brings a variety of thought, a variety of experiences, a diversity of experiences. When people grow up under different conditions, different kinds of families, different countries, they grow up with a set of experiences that are ingrained in themselves. And business is about making judgments and making calls. And if you have a set of experiences that guide your judgments that's broad, you will in the end make better decisions, if you think about it. You will have the value of a richer set of experiences that relate to a whole, with a broader set of circumstances than if you're small and local and really non-inclusive. And we really fundamentally believe that that rich set of experiences leads to better decisions. And business is really all about making the right decisions. And I can tell you, most decisions, no matter how structured we may be, and we should be, and how quantitative we want to be, in the end comes down to judgment calls. And the richer set of experiences gives you better equipped to make better judgment calls. So that's why we believe in diversity. And it's something that we intend to do as much as we possibly can to improve. I mean, especially across all levels of management, it's not necessarily always easy, but it's something that we really are making an attempt. And that goes to our supplier base, that we want to promote diversity in our supplier base and our partners overall. Our customers, for example, are already diverse. In the United States, amongst our physician customers, there's a huge degree of diversity. In fact, I don't know if you know that 50% of the incoming medical school students are of Asian origin. 50%. So, in 10 years from now, the diversity of our country and the diversity of our healthcare system will be very apparent. And so we have to relate to that. And from our suppliers, the same kind of thing. We want to encourage diversity. We want to encourage minority suppliers because we think that at the end of the day, the same story, that they will bring to this a unique set of experiences that we will lose out on if we don't participate in. In the end, all of you and many of you have your own stories of innovation. Because just like we innovate to serve our customers, I'm sure all of you innovate to serve us. And that innovation and the richness of that innovation is catalyzed by more diversity. And so it's in our absolute interest to help you and to grow that diverse supply base that we have to tap into. Now, what are the kinds of things that we're doing? Well, we've been in this for a while, and the sourcing team here from Medtronic is right here, and they've really taken the lead here and been very committed to this agenda. Not for the last few years that I've been here, but long before this, of really working with this council and others in supporting small suppliers for a lot of the reasons that I just talked about, and really gone out of our way for the right reasons, to help, to nurture, to recognize suppliers. And then, Vicky told me a little while ago that, one of our suppliers, Tempo, for example, we worked with for a long time. And very innovative, minority, small company at one time, grown with us. So it's very nice to see that. There are others. We have awards at every year where we pick out suppliers who've done exceptionally well, and those are moments of celebration. But, at least I get the sense, and I hope you do too, that our team truly thinks of you as partners. Not as adversaries, but as partners. And sure, we'll come to terms, but if you have any guiding principles, we can be fair to everybody, for both of us. And then that's a big portion of the way we'd like to operate. We try to help you. There's a whole list of stuff here that you can read just as well as I can. Counseling and coaching and maintain support of these types of organizations. But at the end of the day, I'm really here to tell you that this story is genuine. It's a story that we're serious about. That helping small companies with minority ownership, or big companies for that matter, in this community is something that's pretty central to our purpose. Now, having said that, you've all got to recognize that there are things that you have to be competitive about. As we are global, and as we globalize, it's a fact of life that we'll have other partners who are global as well. And those global companies may have, sort of positions outside the United States where we may want to manufacture something for local consumption where they're a better supplier. And so, first you have to recognize that. Second, you have to be competitive against trends like that. So, I said it's important for us to be small and innovative, but we also want to use our size because I think that's of value. And there are other companies who are of size, and they have certain advantages. And I think you have to be up there and be with your eyes open as to what you're dealing with, and come up with innovative strategies so that you can be competitive. But it's something that you should recognize that we're looking at all angles of this. Now, if everything else is equal, I can assure you that our preference will be a diverse supplier. But everything else being equal is something that has to be taken seriously. And I think you'd all approach it the same way. So, look, that's really all I have to say. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to meet with you. Thank you all very much. Thanks.